We have been back from the Alaska trip for several months. And it seems like every time we have a conversation with folks about the trip, the same type of questions keep coming up over and over again. So Miriam and I sit down and prepared a list. Well, mostly Miriam. And we've decided we would do a video based on the top 10 most asked questions about the trip and what we would do differently, what we enjoyed. So here is that video. Hey guys.
It's good to be back in the studio. It's been a while, John.
Yeah, it's a good day for a studio with the, what is this we're experiencing?
I think it's Hurricane Melissa, or not the hurricane, the offshoots of it.
Yeah, rain and wind. So recently we received an email, which was the inspiration for this entire video. The question was, how did we plan our trip to Alaska? Oh my gosh. Well, I'll let you begin.
Well, and it's not an uncommon question. Remember our first day in Wisconsin? We stopped at a restaurant for lunch, and our server was so excited that we were returning from Alaska, and he wanted to know all the details, what our budget was.
You don't have that much time.
Because he really dreamed of going to Alaska, and I hope he makes it one day. But that was such a great encounter. He bought us dessert, John. Remember, it was
yes,
it was lovely. But yeah, so how do you go about planning? What kind of budget do you need to go to Alaska, John?
Well, it's a complicated equation. First of all, you have to decide how you are going to go. If you drive your existing motor vehicle and you pull off the side of the road, throw your sleeping bag onto the ground, and eat food that you cook yourself,
rice and beans,
you can go for the cost of gasoline. But that's not how we did it.
So you could do it for a couple thousand, but
yeah.
But we like creature comforts. We also recognize this was probably. I would love to go again, but it may very well be the only trip of this nature.
This scope, just because it was so large
and long. 69 days is a long time. So hotels are expensive, and But because it was a once-in-a-lifetime trip, we were willing to spend the money. So, you just need to decide your travel style and what your budget can withstand.
Yeah.
But I've got some numbers, John, I thought were kind of interesting. So we had 68 accommodation nights, right? And 3 of those nights we stayed with a good friend and my brother, so we really appreciated that.
2 different people, the friend and the brother.
Yeah.
Although she's not friends with her brother.
I am friends with my brother. He's a good guy. But anyways, so it was interesting to kind of categorize where we stayed because we did stay in chain hotels about 41% of the time.
Yeah.
There weren't chain hotel options on the Alaska Highway and not in many of the small towns of Alaska. I mean, there were in Fairbanks, but so it's not surprising that we spent a lot of time in other more unique properties. But we did stay in a couple of new chain hotels. Remember, Staybridge Suites was new.
Relatively newer compared to the old guys like Holiday Inn, Best Western. But you're right.
And they have free laundry. That was awesome. I never encountered a hotel that allowed you to do your laundry for free. And the earliest breakfast bar, like 4:30. Remember?
Yeah.
And then the other interesting one was Element in Fargo, of all places. And that was nice too. I thought that was a really good breakfast. It's about 41% in chain hotels, mostly when we were in transit. But we did stay in Airbnbs 16% of the time. We were in Yellowstone National Park for 4 nights, which was 6%. Also 4 nights on the Alaska Ferry. And then otherwise, we stayed in inns, bed and breakfasts, mom and pop type motels for 26% of the time. So, and some of them were really great, and some were horrid. So, let's kind of go through it, John.
Okay.
Best accommodations.
Well,
just off the cuff.
And this wins because of its uniqueness. For me, it was the Alaska Ferry.
The Alaska Ferry.
Yes.
Which was not a cruise, John.
It was a ship with staterooms that we had to pay for.
Why? Why would you choose that as the best?
Because it was so unique. It was so different.
Okay.
Somebody else made coffee for me around the clock, and I appreciate that.
Yeah. For me, I think the best was the Northern Rockies Lodge in Muncho Lake on the Alaska Highway. It was just such a cool property. I love that they had the float plane business on the premises.
Which is how it started. A couple came from Europe and started a float plane operation to take hunters
90s,
and fishermen into the backcountry of the Yukon, because that's where this was located. And then they expanded and built their own lodge.
Yeah. And there were some very happy fishermen staying there too. And the dining room was really lovely.
Good food.
And excellent food.
Mm-hmm.
And I also have to mention that Glacier View cabin, John, because
that was on my short list.
That was, I didn't expect, I knew we were trying to get from point A to point B. I wasn't expecting to stay in such a beautiful spot, and I really, really loved that.
To give you some idea of why we picked these cabins, that was the only place to stay along this segment of the route, were cabins. There are no hotels, and this was a little efficiency type cabin. It was very comfortable, had gas heat.
Yeah, you shared the video.
Yes, and you could see the glacier from our living room area in the next.
Yeah, and it was a really awesome glacier, some 27 miles long. But so the flip side, John, worst accommodations.
Wow. I would think I'd have to give the cabin we rented in Talkeetna, Alaska.
Really?
That's because if you wanted to go to the bathroom, you had to get up, leave your cabin, walk across the parking lot, use the cipher lock to get into the back door of the main building, and use the bathroom there.
That was kind of rustic, I'll admit, but I wouldn't rate that as worst.
And what would be on your list?
Well, I had some trouble narrowing it down.
Had a lot of bad places, or questionable places.
Well, Watson Lake, we stayed at this motel, and we walked in the front lobby, and there was...
If it wasn't for the drunk.
No, it was also the threadbare sheets and the cold room and the tile. It was a lot of things. But tied with that, I have to say, John, was the Airbnb in South Dakota on the return trip. We didn't show this on video. I guess we should have, but just a quick synopsis. Imagine a tiny home built on a trailer chassis, not up to building code. When you turn the microwave on, the lights dimmed. There was a loft bed, which we thought we would sleep in, but it included a climbing rope. So can you just imagine John and I with a nighttime excursion to the restroom, swinging on the climbing rope?
It did have a ladder and a climbing rope.
The ladder was a little sketchy.
We did have hot and cold running water in the shower. You did have to open the door to the shower, reach around, and manipulate the faucet, then come back in and hope you got it right.
And it was July, but we had an amazing windstorm that night, and a cold front came in. It got chilly. It was like 40 degrees. And they did have heat in the cabin, but it didn't work. So we were so disheartened about South Dakota. I mean, it's owned by a young couple. They're really trying, but man.
It was a comfortable night to sleep, and it was
3 nights.
And it had, kitchen area, living room area. So, it wasn't all bad.
Yeah, pretty bad though. Okay. All right. Here's a subject near and dear to our hearts, John. Food. What was our best meal?
Well, funny you should ask, Miriam. We were on our way back home. We were in Sheridan, Wyoming, a little cowboy town. Went to a nice restaurant. I had a steak that was probably one of the best steaks I've ever had in my life. Of course, it didn't hurt that I'd ordered a smoky old fashioned that was delivered in a box that was smoking. They opened the door and smoke rolled out, and they served the old fashioned that way. And then the best cut of steak, the flavor, it was cooked to perfection. Anyway,
Yeah. And what was amazing, it was rodeo week in Sheridan, which is the biggest event of the year for them. And we didn't have reservations for this place. It was early. We thought we'd take our chances. And fortunately, they were able to serve us. And John, I remember I had the bison tenderloin. I think that's ruined steak of any kind for me for the rest of my life. It was so delicious, so tender, and but anyway, just to mention something else, we had some other really good meals. I love when we find locally owned, small restaurants that are just gems. And we were in this little town, Morton, Illinois, outside of Peoria, and we'd asked for a restaurant recommendation at the front desk, and she told us to go to like Ruby Tuesdays, and I'm like, no, not going to do that. So I did a Google search and found this place called Veranda about a mile away, and it was owned by a father-son duo from California. It was kind of Californian-style Mexican. We had fried pork belly as an appetizer, John. That should stir a memory for you. And it was just a delightful meal. Really, really nice. I don't know that there were 5 other couples in the restaurant with us, but I wish them success. It was certainly one of the best meals we had on the trip. So the companion topic to that is worst meals, John. What was your worst meal?
Well, the worst meal I had on the trip is not even up for debate. It is the hotel breakfast buffets. I am so tired of eating hockey puck eggs and turkey sausage. Give me some real eggs and some real meat. I'm sorry. Turkey is not a real meat in my book.
For breakfast.
For breakfast.
Yeah. Well, and then we were at a hotel in Washington State, and they had a meal delivery service. And so we thought, oh, we're tired. We'll just do this. Get a nice salad, something fairly light. And we had to wait like an hour. And then it finally comes, and the gal scoots off, and we look at what we have in our bag, and it wasn't what we ordered.
No.
So we had to call, and the guy was very vague, and I finally had to say, do you mean to tell me the meal we ordered is never coming? And he said, yes. Although the one we got was free, but it wasn't what we ordered. So that was a low point, John.
Yeah. Well,
you win some,
we weren't hungry afterwards. So the
there we
mission
go.
was accomplished.
Could have been worse. All right. Here, switching gears a little bit. What are some things that you're glad that you packed?
Oh, wow. Well, all the camera gear. We shot too much video. I'm glad we packed that. I'm glad we packed clothes for every season. We experienced ice. We experienced heat. Sometimes it was shorts and t-shirt. Sometimes it was long underwear and parkas. So it just that I don't think we probably overpacked, but we took enough gear to make it work. What about you?
Yeah, I am really glad I had my eye mask, because even, I can only remember a couple of places that use the blackout curtains, and the midnight sun phenomenon is real.
I just wanted to show you it's 2:30 in the morning, sunrise. I think it's in another hour or so, but I don't I don't have any sensation that the sun ever set. Anyways, it's just a weird phenomenon, this midnight sun. Just wanted to share it with you.
You know, if we hadn't had our eye mask, I'm not sure we would have slept 98% of the time in Alaska. So I'm really glad I packed that. What do you wish you'd packed? Yeah, I wish I'd had shower shoes. That's the only thing, because we had a couple of shower experiences that were, well, a little iffy. So if I'd had shower shoes, it just would have added a layer of comfort. True. And yeah. So was there anything that you never used that you packed?
Oh gosh, we took stuff that were for contingency purposes only. Knowing the complexity of the trip and the possibility of being stuck on the road without any accommodations nearby, we took gear that we could sleep in the back of the 4Runner: mattresses, pillows, sleeping bags. We never used that stuff.
Well, we did. We used them a couple of places when the linens were a little questionable in the hotel.
Yeah, but not for sleeping in the vehicle.
Right.
Didn't use the survival kit. Didn't use the emergency locator beacon. Didn't have to use any of the tools.
For me, I had packed my down jacket. I knew that we'd experienced 3 seasons, and I knew it would be chilly in Alaska, but I didn't know how chilly and, what I would need for comfort. And I honestly never pulled out my down jacket. We've said this before, and we need to remember it next time we pack. Layers are the answer. We were really lucky with great weather in Alaska. Most days were in the low 70s. I think it got up to maybe 80 when we were in Fairbanks. But for the most part, it was very temperate. It was just perfect weather. It did get cold at night, and there were a couple of times, like when we went on the boat tour from Seward, it got chilly out on the water, but didn't need my down. Just layering with fleece and a windbreaker and some hat and gloves was more than adequate. So next time I'd leave that behind for sure. All right, John, in your videos, we have a tendency to show the good times, right? The pleasurable experiences, the things that are going well. But we did make some mistakes on this trip. So let's talk about the biggest mistakes.
Fortunately, it didn't come to bite us, but what I would do different is I would not plan a detailed itinerary for every single night of the trip well before the trip. Things can go wrong. Just because you're on the only road that goes to Alaska for a lot of the segments, you have possibility of motor vehicle accidents, landslides, road construction, wildfires, tornadoes, locusts,
tsunamis,
dogs and cats living together.
And Tommy G tried to counsel us on this, so he was right. And Tommy,
sorry, Tommy.
I don't know why we're so slow to understand that point, but that was kind of a mistake averted. We didn't have a problem with that. There were things we did that were not good. So you talked on camera about the credit card issue, not checking your credit card transactions and having a fraudulent charge.
Yes.
But there was a couple other things that happened.
What is this, a confessional? Forgive me, Miriam, for I have
You'll feel better. You'll feel better. Just.
All right, I'm only going to say this one time. I got lost on a road with the GPS.
And what was your task? What was your destination?
Simply to come to the laundromat where you were located that I already
where
been.
I was stranded
and pick you up.
Minutes.
Yes.
Yes.
It wasn't my fault.
It wasn't my fault, I swear.
I don't know whose fault it was, but and I forgot to sign my passport. And we already talked about me walking into the men's shower facility, thinking it was just a laundry facility. And I left my medication in the refrigerator early in the trip. And you know what, John, I overpaid for parking in Canada. So I just hope that the Canadian Parking Authority appreciates the contribution I made to their operation. Oh, goodness. So, similar theme, but what lessons learned from this trip?
I overplan. That's the big one. Overplan. And even though we try our best to have what we call 0 days, where we don't make any forward progress along the trip, but we found we spent those days doing sightseeing and things of that nature. And I really wish we had plugged in at least 1 day a week was a total down day where we like sat around, maybe did laundry, worked on some video, napped, and
Found a
rested,
gym or something.
rested. Because when we got back, we were so tired. Every single day of that trip was, if we weren't moving forward and we had a 0 day, we were busy.
Yeah, it's hard to find the right balance because you don't know what's available in the area or even within the hotel that you're visiting. A couple of things for me is it was really helpful to have 2 GPSs running because your GPS in the car is great because if we're in a remote area, it's going to continue prompting us. But it tended to be slow in giving directions as we were, embarking on a journey. So my GPS on my phone was helpful to like get us out of the parking lot until your GPS would pick up. And sometimes there was, conflicting information, or sometimes there was additional information that was helpful in planning the route. Need to pack less. We always pack too much, and I guess we'll continue to pare that down for the rest of our lives.
Yeah, I do enjoy planning and packing and thinking about how to pack and what to take. That's never going to change because I just get joy from doing that.
Yeah. And the other lesson kind of learned the hard way is even though I felt like we were fairly active on the trip. I mean, we spent a lot of time in the car, but we also did quite a bit of walking, and I thought that was enough to keep my joints limber, and it was not because 30 sessions of PT later, I'm still working with joint issues, and I think a lot of it kind of spurred from that long trip. So 69 days may be just a tad long. John, there were some things that we just loved about Alaska. There are a couple of places that, like Haines, I could see us living in a place like Haines and being very content.
We haven't spent the winter there.
Yeah, but it's not as cold there as it is in places further north. But I think we could do it. But in Alaska, what did you like about?
To be immersed in a culture that is so different than what we have here in the lower 48 states, where services are so far apart. And if you forget something at the store, you're going to do without it until the next time you go, which is probably about a week.
Yeah.
Because there are no resources.
So it's more about problem solving and self-sufficiency, subsistence living.
And the abundance of firearms. Firearms in Alaska is as ubiquitous as somebody holding a Starbucks cup of coffee as they walk down the street here in the lower 48 states. They're everywhere. We saw a woman who was going to go for a hike or a backpack. We're not sure what she was doing. She slung her backpack over her shoulder, then slung a large bore rifle over her shoulder. Because you're in grizzly country.
Yeah, it's more about wilderness safety. It's not about criminal activity or
probably not a good idea to be a bad guy in Alaska. They just shoot you and the bears will eat you, and nobody will ever know whatever happened to you.
Yeah, but there were a lot of other things too, like simple things like pesto on salmon. What a great idea!
Yeah.
And we had a lot of great salmon and halibut. That's for sure. Extra tough boots. Those are cool too. Everybody wears them all the time.
Footwear is important.
Well, waterproof footwear.
Yeah.
And people in Alaska is very much a come as you are kind of state, and I really enjoyed the conversations we had with the different folks we met, and what brought them to Alaska, and all of that. But there's some other great things. Like I thought it was great that when we were in Haines, we got to go to a community barbecue, and it was just such a great vibe there, and a plate of food for $10. Truly, it was an awesome trip.
Yeah.
It's going to give us fodder for storytelling for many years to come.
And the big one was, if somebody said, would you do it again? My answer is, give me a day to pack. Yes, absolutely. It was, for me, the drive on the Alaska Highway is such historical and spiritually fulfilling.
It was a pilgrimage for you, I think.
It is a pilgrimage. But just, I mean, every time you rounded a corner, it's like, oh my gosh, and oh my gosh, I get tired of the eye candy. It was a nonstop scenic orgy.
Oh, we never got tired of it. But
yeah.
But the point is that there are many, many ways to visit Alaska. Whether your budget is small or vast. If you take a cruise, or you fly and rent a car or an RV, or you take a train. There's just so many. There's no wrong way to do it. So I hope in the comments you'll tell us if you visited Alaska and how you did it and what you loved about it and what you'll do the next time. Would really be interested in hearing from you. So drop us a line.
Absolutely. Guys, if you like this video, we enjoyed making it. Of course, we took the trips for ourselves. We were glad we could bring you along. But if you like the videos, give us a thumbs up. It helps the algorithm share the videos with other people.
Alrighty.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Until next time, y'all take care. Bye-bye.